Hi, I'm Jacqueline Rinksmeyer, Executive Director of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce.
And I'm Jared Fry, General Manager and Public Information Officer for the City of Medina and Medina TV.
One of the core values of the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce is business advocacy. We've been proud to partner with Medina TV on this voter education series for well over 10 years now. We're grateful to our interviewer and General Manager of Medina TV, Jared Fry, and our producer, Matt Tomick.
We are grateful for all the candidates that took part in the Candidates Forum, but we also want to stress that the opinions of those candidates are not those necessarily of Medina TV or the Greater Medina Chamber of Commerce.
All candidates in contested races were invited to participate in this voter education program.
We want all voters to be informed to the best of the ability as they head to the ballot this November, so sit back and relax and enjoy our Candidates Forum.
We encourage you to make a plan to vote this November.
Joining me in studio is the candidate for the Medina County Prosecutor's Office, Ralph Jocke. Ralph, thank you for joining us here today.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you. First, just start off by telling us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've lived and or worked in Medina for more than 45 years. I'm a lawyer and one of the founders of the law firm Walker & Jocke. Our law firm was founded 31 years ago in Medina, and we currently employ 15 professionals. We do technology law work, patents, trademarks, copyrights, cybersecurity work, data privacy work, software licensing and software services agreements, and a lot of technology agreements, commercial agreements related to technology. We work with clients throughout the U.S. and throughout the world. My background is that I was previously the chief legal officer for a Fortune 500 company, an in-house attorney for a corporation. I worked in the litigation department of one of the largest law firms in the country, and before that I was an engineering supervisor responsible for more than 50 people. I'm a licensed professional engineer. I've written more than 2,000 granted U.S. patents for clients and personally have received 14 granted patents on inventions that I developed. I co-founded the Computer Law Committee of the Ohio State Bar. I've chaired the Computer Law and the Intellectual Property sections of the State Bar, and I also chaired the committee of the State Bar that wrote Ohio's current trade secrets law. I'm the first person in my family to go to college, and I worked my way through engineering school and night law school, and I was honored to receive the President's Award from Cleveland State University.
Great. And congratulations on that career there. It's very vast. Tell us a little bit about the role of the Medina County Prosecutor.
Well, you know, it's interesting. The Medina County Prosecutor wears a lot of hats. A lot of people don't know that not only is the prosecutor responsible for prosecuting criminals, but the prosecutor's office also reviews all the contracts that the county enters into for various services. So they're responsible for reviewing hundreds of millions of dollars worth of county contracts every year. And that's one of the reasons that I'm running, is that I have seen the work that's being done regarding the contracts. And you know, I always say the biggest room in the world is the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. And you know, the contracts that are written, oftentimes the vendor's form is being signed, and it's just the people are not assured of getting their money's worth. And so one of the things that really could stand to be improved is making sure that Medina County's contracts are set up so that the taxpayers get their money's worth.
So how do you handle the balance if elected prosecutor? As you mentioned, there's the different avenues that are explored there, the contracts and then also the legal side. How do you handle that balance between personal opinion and legal matters?
Well, I mean, the law is the law. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's one of those things where, you know, it needs to be followed, and you always follow the law. But in this case, what I was talking about is more the idea that, you know, a typical example, and maybe you don't see it as much as I do, but, you know, vendors will come along and they'll say, well, we're going to do this, and you're going to be supplied with certain things and have certain deliverables. In the end, you'll have this particular functionality. But the contract will say that, no, you don't necessarily get that. It doesn't warrant anything. Well, you've got to be sure that the lawyers that are responsible for this make absolutely sure that that vendor is going to deliver what it is that they promised in their proposal and not be able to escape without responsibility if what they deliver doesn't perform.
Mm-hmm. We're speaking with Ralph Jocke, candidate for the Medina County Prosecutor's Office. I always like to commend everyone that comes in here to do the interviews with us because it's a big step to take part in politics, to make that step into the venue. What is your passion or driving force that drove you to enter into politics?
Well, I'm not a politician, but what's happening is that really, unfortunately, in Medina County, the county government is run by career politicians and political insiders that, in my view, operate county government for the benefit of themselves and political insiders. And so myself and a number of other working people have gotten together, and we're running together in what's called the Vote D campaign. And the Vote D campaign is trying to stop the government waste and taxpayer ripoffs that are costing people in Medina County money. And we have some specific examples of things that we're going to do, we hope to do, and we're going to do this together if we can all get elected. There's a unique opportunity here this year because a majority of the county commissioners are up for re-election. And so if 2 new commissioners are elected, then the way that the county has been run can change. And the things that we hope to do are posted at a website. It's voteford.org. Again, voteford.org. And some of the things that we think ought to be done is currently, every time you renew your license plate, every year, you get charged $20 by the county. And I saw it the last time that they increased that. And what happened is, career politician at a county commissioners meeting says, well, the state legislature says we can take another $5 every year when people renew their license plates. And they just said, yes, yes, yes. And within 30 seconds, they had taken another $5 from every person in the county who has a license plate. Well, if the Vote D people get in, that's going to be repealed. Another thing that, is troubling is the corruption that happens. Everybody knows, or I hope everybody knows, about the House Bill 6 scandal down in Columbus, where the state legislator, Larry Householder, Speaker of the House, took a $60 million bribe to impose more than $2 billion of additional cost on the citizens of Ohio. And they put him in jail, and some of his minions have been put in jail. But at the present time, the people are still paying, hidden in their electric bill every month, additional funds associated with HB 6. And so if the Vote D candidates get elected, we're going to push to repeal that bribery tax that's hidden in your electric bill. It's already cost you more than $350 million so far. And the people that are there, they don't have the backbone to repeal it. Another example of things that we feel are just out of line are the massive increases in property taxes. Just because your house may theoretically be worth more money now, doesn't mean you've got more money to pay massive increases in taxes. So people on fixed income, are at risk of losing their homes. So one of the areas of focus that the Vote D candidates want to do something about is to stop these massive increases in property taxes and make sure that people can keep their homes. Another thing that happens, and a lot of people don't know about it, and I'm sure you've seen a lot of the publicity about the Legacy Hotel in downtown Medina and how wonderful it is that they're going to build a hotel. Well, what nobody tells you is that there's $48 million in bonds and giveaways and tax abatements that have been associated with that. Much of that money is coming out of money that would otherwise go to the schools. So, the developers of the hotel get $48 million in public benefits. And what did the public get? Well, as best I can tell, there were medical office buildings on that site. There were people there working, making a living wage. And those buildings were torn down to be replaced with a hotel with 75 rooms that may hire a handful of housekeepers and servers and such, and those are low-wage jobs. So that's not development. That's just a giveaway to politically connected insiders who are building the hotel. And there's a lot of other things, and as I say, we've put up examples on the voteford.org website where people can go and look and see the things that the group that's running in the Vote D campaign want to change to be sure that the taxpayers of Medina County don't get ripped off and that their rights are protected.
Again, speaking of Ralph Jocke, candidate for the Medina County Prosecutor's Office. Ralph, what's something that you're most proud of that would be valuable for this Prosecutor's Office? Well, you know, I've worked in a lot of different areas. I guess I have good administrative skills. Like I said, I managed a team of engineering and technical people, more than 50 folks. And, you know, you've got to be a good administrator in order to manage an office and be sure that people are motivated, that they understand what the mission is, and that they get the job done and understand. And I think if people are given a challenge, they will rise to the challenge. And if they have a good leader in front of them, they will follow the leader. And what I'm hoping is that with an emphasis on that office being the lawyer that is concerned about the rights of the people in Medina County, that the people there will rise to the occasion, do a good job, be sure that in everything they do, service to the people and protection of the people's tax dollars is carried out. Mm-hmm. Now, on the other side of that, if elected to the office, what's one of the first things you'd like to try to improve on? Well, I told you, I think one of the things that really needs to be improved are the contracts that the county is entering into. I mean, it's hundreds of millions of dollars. And I've watched this. I mean, you see contracts going in for $8 million to do certain things, for $2 million to do certain things. It really is important that those contracts be ironclad, so that the taxpayers get their money's worth. Another thing that I strongly believe in is doing business with local companies. You know, it looks like there are people down from Columbus and downstate, and they've, you know, paid their lobbyists in order to get themselves in front of different people. And the prosecutor's office certainly does enter into a lot of agreements with people who are from out of town, when I know that there are people in town who live here, work here, and pay taxes here, who could provide the same service for less cost. And I can say particularly that in connection with lawyers. The prosecutor's office always hires these out-of-town lawyers who charge 2 or 3 times per hour what the local lawyers charge. So why are they hiring them? Well, I suspect it's because of the political contributions that they've given. So that's what I would like to change. Mm-hmm. So now, if elected, what do you see as some of the biggest challenges or obstacles that the prosecutor's office would face during your term? Well, again, you know, what currently happens, in my view, is that the prosecutor's office is part of this private club that involves the political, career politicians, insiders, and it looks to protect the interests of that private club. That isn't how it ought to be. I mean, criminals need to be prosecuted regardless of whether they're drug dealers or local politicians. I mean, and if, you know, we've had situations here. The county treasurer was recently accused of doing a sham transaction to transfer a county vehicle to his son. And what does the prosecutor's office say? Well, there's nothing we can do about it. We had the situation where a body was found floating in Chippewa Lake, and there was no question that the person was dead before they hit the water. But the people of interest were political people. And so if that happens, I'm not going to turn the other way and call it a suicide. We've had situations here in the county where black mold was deliberately allowed to grow in a person's office because they didn't agree with their political beliefs. Well, that isn't going to happen. I'm not going to let that happen. If nothing else, if I can't do anything legally about it,
you can rest assured that I will be a very loud voice that the community will hear saying, this is wrong and this should stop. And I'm not afraid to go up to a commissioners meeting and say, hey, what do you think you're doing? This isn't in the interests of the people. You need to rethink this. A great example of that was the money that was spent on the new county courthouse. You know, a consultant shows up and says, well, you know, you need a new courthouse. And the people in 2018 voted against it massively. 2-1 said, no, we don't want to put a sales tax on us to build a new courthouse. And the commissioners went ahead and did it anyway. And what was their justification? They said, well, the state Supreme Court has rules that say we have to have all these things we don't have. Well, no, it doesn't. The things they were saying were mandatory were actually guidelines and things that could have been achieved numerous different ways. But the prosecutor, the other people who were supposed to provide legal guidance on these things didn't say, well, you don't have to do these things. You don't have to spend the $60 million that this new courthouse cost. Instead, they just went along to provide, you know, fancier new digs for the people that are in office and more office space that they can fill with people they hire. So again, when something like that is happening and some out-of-town consultant who's politically connected is trying to convince local politicians to spend a lot of the taxpayers' money based on some thing they say is a law or a requirement that isn't really, well, you can count on me to stand up and say, you don't need to do that. You keep the money in the taxpayers' pockets.
Again, speaking with Ralph Jocke, candidate for Medina County Prosecutor, you've done a great job of answering my questions that I had for you here today, and I want to give you the opportunity, if there's anything I missed, or an opportunity just to speak directly to the voters. So with that, the floor is yours. Feel free to talk to the voters.
Well, okay. As I mentioned before, there's a group of us that are running together. What we want to do is to stop government waste and taxpayer ripoffs. It's the Vote D campaign. And you can find out about me and the other people that are part of this campaign at the website voteford.org. Again, that's voteford.org. And there we've outlined not only the things that I talked about today, but also a number of other things that we will do if we're elected to basically stop government waste, stop taxpayer ripoffs, and keep as much money in the taxpayer's pocket as we can, while still providing good services and doing the things that are needed for the people in this county. So, again, we appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Again, speaking with Ralph Jocke, candidate for the Medina County Prosecutor's Office, I want to thank you for your time today, and I want to wish you the best of luck this November.
Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Pleasure.